Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon, and today is Friday, September 27th. It's day 357 since the attacks by Hamas in the south of Israel. An update in terms of escalations and hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. U.S. President Joe Biden and French President Macron proposed an immediate 21-day truce between Israel and Hezbollah, alongside support for a ceasefire in Gaza. But the proposed ceasefire, it was endorsed by several countries: Australia, Canada, the EU, Germany, Italy, Japan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, who wrote in a joint statement, "It is time to conclude a diplomatic settlement that enables civilians on both sides of the border to return to their homes safely. Thus, we call for an immediate 21-day ceasefire across the Lebanon-Israel border to provide space for diplomacy." The idea being that 21 days would give time to determine the terms for a longer agreement for a permanent ceasefire. Hezbollah has said that what they've been asking for is a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Lebanon's caretaker, Prime Minister Makati, urged the UN Security Council to press Israel on an immediate ceasefire on all fronts, referring to, of course, the border between Lebanon and Israel and also in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office said that he had not responded to the proposal. I had shared yesterday in the update that Netanyahu had said that he was open to negotiations, and then he quickly shifted and changed, his rhetoric. And he said that he had not issued any directives, but that there was moderate fighting in the north, and he was instructing the Israeli Defense Forces to continue fighting with full force. He also, the specifics of his reversal, as he reversed his stance on the ceasefire, retracting verbal commitments that he'd specifically made, at least according to the news, to the U.S. administration. And reports are indicating that this is because there was so much pressure within the Israeli government, and that officials actually said that they would withdraw from the Israeli coalition. So diplomatic sources that are involved reported this to Israeli news sources. The far-right security minister, Ben-Gvir, said that his party would not support a government's vote to back a temporary ceasefire with Hezbollah, and that they would leave the government if a ceasefire was permanent. Israeli opposition leader, this is Yair Lapid, called on Israel to accept the proposal. His suggestion was to do it for much less time, only 7 days, in order to not allow Hezbollah to rehabilitate its command and control systems, and that they should reject any proposal that would allow Hezbollah to remain on the border of Israel's north. And Yair Golan, who's the head of the center-left party, the Democrats in Israel, told public radio that we need to go for a 3 to 4 day ceasefire, that 7 days was too long, because they were worried about Hezbollah having progress on the ground. An Arab diplomatic source said that Israel's envoy to the ceasefire talks made it clear that Israel is not ready to stop its military operation. And so that's being reported. And then yesterday, the Times of Israel reported that Gallant approved the continued Israeli Defense Forces offensive against Hezbollah. And we'll talk about what's happened in that regard. Western diplomats said that statements by Israeli politicians against the proposal may derail the talks and pave the way for an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah, and that this looks like a deliberate attempt to damage the negotiations. U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Jack Lew, said that the U.S.-French proposal is the best way for diplomacy to restore safety for citizens to return to their homes. He was speaking specifically of within Israel. Conditions in the north of Israel and south of Lebanon must change to permit for their safe return. The IDF said it killed the head of Hezbollah's Air Force unit in a targeted strike in Beirut, as well as attacking an infrastructure on Syria's border with Lebanon that's used by Hezbollah to transfer weapons. And they also said they struck 75 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon overnight. And at the end of the day yesterday, a Hezbollah-affiliated news outlet, Al Mayadeen, reported that 4 people were killed in Israeli attacks in Beirut, as Israel continued to carry out strikes, not only in South Lebanon, but also in North Lebanon. And Lebanon's health minister said that Israeli strikes on Lebanon had killed 25 people as of early Friday. 4 hours ago, it was reported by Lebanese news that a family of 9 were killed in an Israeli airstrike in the village of Cheba. It's right now almost 9 p.m. I'm still in South Korea. And so just to give you an idea of when this was recorded. The IDF said that 150 rockets were fired at Israel from Lebanon yesterday, and that rockets landed in open areas, that fires were started, but there were no casualties. But then overnight, there were dozens of Hezbollah targets that were struck, according to the IDF. And as of this morning, there was a 25-year-old Israeli man who was moderately wounded near Tiberias after there was a barrage towards that area. Israeli troops have completed a training drill that simulated ground combat scenarios inside Lebanese territory. So there's great concern that soldiers are actually preparing for a ground invasion or incursion. The IDF Chief of Staff Halevi said that the military has been waiting for years for this opportunity to attack Hezbollah, and it is constantly working to reach achievements and continues to attack the organization in every area or region of Lebanon. At least 23 people, all of them Syrian, and most of them women and children, were killed in a strike on a 3-story building in the Lebanese town of Yunin late on Wednesday, according to Mayor Ali Kassas. That was reported in Reuters. And more than 30,000 people, this is mostly Syrians, have crossed into Syria from Lebanon just in the last 72 hours, according to the UN Refugee Agency. Syrian state media reported that 5 soldiers were just killed in an Israeli airstrike in Damascus. And that's kind of an update on what's been going on in terms of Lebanon and Israel. In terms of hostage ceasefire talks, Secretary of State Blinken told MSNBC's Morning Joe that a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah may create some space and even momentum in terms of a ceasefire potential in Gaza. It might help it get over the finish line. The challenge we have right now is that it's unclear whether Hamas is serious about concluding an agreement. And the Hostage and Missing Families Forum announced the cancellation of the weekly Tel Aviv rally because of Hezbollah hostilities. Families of hostages said they will demonstrate in front of the IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv on Saturday evening. There have been demonstrations in New York City because Netanyahu is speaking there today, Friday, at the United Nations. The mother of one of the hostages, Matan Zankar, said that she and families don't have the privilege of sitting at home precisely when the guns are roaring and the center of attention is moved north. We must not let the issue fall off the agenda and allow Netanyahu, the deal breaker, to abandon them in the tunnels of death. In the West Bank, while the world's paying attention to Lebanon, yesterday there was another deadly Israeli assault. 1 woman was killed, 5 others were injured, including a 9-year-old girl, as there was a raid in South Jenin. The injured included a 73-year-old woman who was shot in the head and a 9-year-old girl and the young man who suffered jaw injuries. The Palestinian Ministry of Health confirmed the death of a 32-year-old who was killed from Israeli gunfire. And in Gaza, Hamas has said to have reached an agreement with Fatah. These are the 2 political parties in Palestine, one in Gaza, the other one, of course, is the PA, on managing civilian affairs in Gaza. So that has happened. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that Palestinians will not allow a single centimeter of Gaza to be taken by Israel. Abbas called to stop the killings, stop the genocide, and stop sending weapons to Israel. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said in response that Abbas spoke for 26 minutes and he did not say the word Hamas once. Palestinian medical officials reported that 14 people were killed in an attack on a school in Jabalia in northern Gaza, and the IDF confirmed that it attacked a school building because it said Hamas was operating from it. The Hamas, this is from the health ministry in Gaza, which is controlled by Hamas, said that at least 41,534 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th, and those wounded is at 96,092. In closing, I wanted to let you know that on September 24th, so just a few days ago, Branch 21 of the Appeals Court of Tehran acquitted a Pastor Avidian, who's 62 years old, on the charge of propaganda contrary to disturbing the holy religion of Islam. So the court ordered his release from prison. He was serving a 10-year prison sentence that he had begun serving September 18th of last year. Pastor Anushavan was arrested along with 2 Christian converts when intelligence agents had raided a private Christian gathering in North Tehran in August of 2020. So his release is certainly good news. That was reported by Middle East Concern. And so I wanted to let you know about that. Please continue in your efforts. We have an upcoming service of lament on October 7th. The day before is Sunday. It will be a Solidarity Sunday. We'll have videos and resources for you to be able to talk about what's happening and call for a permanent ceasefire of all conflict, but specifically in Gaza and between Hezbollah and Israel. May the Lord go before us in our efforts towards peace. Amen.